Welcome to episode 6 of the Kisima podcast. On this one, it's super exciting because, as we promised, we're going to discuss about the budget. I'm your host, Joy Mala.
And I'm Gloria Machete.
And today, clearly, we have a guest with us. Her name is Wanjiru. Wanjiru is the host of a podcast called Mine is a Comment. You better check it out. She's also the host of Mwafrika Mwenzangu. It's on YouTube. Follow her at I am Wanjiru on Twitter, yes, and on all other platforms. At this juncture, just let her introduce herself better, tell her what she's about, and then we get right into it.
All right. So thank you very much for having me.
Karibu.
Thank you for having me. My name is Wanjiru Nguhi. I am a podcaster. I am also a political educator. I do political education and civic education on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. I am a feminist. I am a writer. I love makeups.
You're a lawyer also.
I am also a lawyer. And
she's every woman, period.
And it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Karibu.
I'm also very excited about budgets. A lot of my political education and civic education work is around budgets because I feel like that is where the politics is. The politics of money.
Always follow the money.
Always follow the money, absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of budget, do you budget, you personally, your finances?
Me personally, the way my guys' economy is looking, I try to budget. I try. Like, I do it mentally, but I don't have like a document where I say this amount of money will go to this amount of money will go to this. Yeah. Also because I'm a sort of like a privileged person, so there are bills I don't pay because I'm still living at home. So, but I do like a mental note of
you
what
know,
I need to.
ukienda sana utajua.
Nitajua, yeah. Hata siwezi enda sana juu hata sina hiyo pesa.
Huwezi enda sana. But why do you budget?
Because it's important to keep track of how much you're spending.
Yeah.
It's also important so that you know your limits and you live within your means. So that you're not thinking about buying a car and you don't even have car money. You're not thinking about partying like a rock star and you don't have rock star money. So I think it also humbles you to, to live within your means. Yeah.
It's true.
Be loyal.
Gloria,
Yeah,
una budget?
With my small pocket money, I also budget. Najuanga transport itani take this much, enjoyment ni hii. Juu lazima upangie enjoyment. Huwezi tokea every other Friday, you are just gallivanting.
But at least imepangiwa.
Lazima, hiyo ni lazima. So yeah, it's also like a rough budget. Hopefully when I make more monies, I'll have, financial assistance and more knowledge to do better, yeah.
Personally, pia mi budget. The main reason I budget is to prevent poverty. Yeah. So, kwa sababu we all like, okay, hatuwezi prevent kabisa because third worldness, Kenya, Muigai, everything. But yeah, at least to make sure that I don't suffer as more than I need to. So that's why I budget. To ensure too, like expenditure has it go beyond like how much money I'm making. And so that also is going to inform why we are having this discussion. Because for Kenya, budgeting.
It's actually the elephant in the room right now, budgeting. Everyone wants to talk about it and to look like they know what they're saying, and everyone wants to chime in. So maybe we can, of course we have the national government and the county government. So maybe we can go over the process and later on talk about what we can do about it.
So what's the county budget and national budget, and maybe what are the distinctions between the two?
The distinctions between the two obviously lie with the different functions of the national government and the county government.
Yeah.
The national government handles national things like things uko juu, securities, the roads, major roads, and then there's the county government, and the county governments are so deeply personal because county governments determine the livability of a place.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about garbage, we're talking about disposing of animal. Like if your animal dies, the county government is one who knows: do you burn, do you bury?
Hiya.
We're talking about burial grounds even for people. The county government is the one that is in charge of allocating places where it's actually a burial ground or a cremation ground. We're talking about water and sanitation. We're talking about streetlights within your estate. We're talking about the roads leading to your estate. Like they ensure how livable is your life and what is the quality of your life. That is the work of the county government. And that is why I think that most people should pay attention to how budgets are done in the county, because it will directly affect. It's also about livestock, about veterinary services. All those things are done at the county government level.
Because even as you talk, in a sound, it's very close to home.
It's
where you are.
It is at even the air you're breathing, because they are the ones who are supposed to determine the quality of that air, the purity of that air. Even the mosquitoes that come to you at night. If you have too many mosquitoes, there's someone who's
fumigation.
They're the ones who are supposed to do the fumigation to make sure that you're not getting malaria and trypanosomiasis.
Hey, but damn, so
big word.
I don't know what I just said, but a lot of it, even healthcare. Like below level 5 hospitals and below is also a function of the county government.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important.
It's a lot.
And very personal, very deeply personal. So that is why the budget processes will vary depending on where they're using that money and what they're using that money for. Yeah.
So is there like a general flow of the process?
Yes, there's a general flow of the budget. Both the national budget and the county budget have 4 stages. The first stage is a formulation stage where they will sit down and decide how will this budget look like? What are we going to prioritize? How are we going to go about this thing? And then after that, then now we have the approval, where now it is tabled in Parliament or it's tabled in the county assembly, and then now it is looked at. So is this even feasible? Does this make sense? Do we have the money to do this? How far can we go with the borrowing? And then after the approval stage, then we have the implementation, where now it goes back to the executive, both at the national and at the county level. And now, if they had said they're going to build roads, then the executive will build roads. If they had said they're going to build hospitals, then they do the hospital building. And then after the implementation, then now we have the audit and evaluation, where now it goes back to Parliament. It does. It goes back to Parliament and the county assemblies now, where they look at what was spent. You said you were going to build a hospital.
This is what you got.
You have spent 500 million. Explain to us what is going on here. Explain to us why you said you were going to do this and you didn't do it, or if you did it, how much did it cost? Show me the receipts. Show us all those things you did. So it's a main stages. Yes. And the thing about the budget is that it's like many wheels standing together, because it's like a spiral. So everything happens at the same time. All those 4 stages happen at the same time. So if we are implementing here, then there is an audit taking place, because it's a cycle. It's 2021 and 2022 is going on. Then 2019 and 2020 is still going on, because it's still being evaluated. Then 2022 and 20 is being formulated. So it's a whole, it's like many wheels standing at the same time. So it can get a bit confusing, but it happens all at the same time.
So currently, I know every other economist is talking about the budget. Na tunaweza taka kujua kwa hizi stages zote for this current, we'll talk about the budget here, because there's a specific time when the budget begins, na the process ends. So tuko wapi kwa hiyo the entire thing, so that watu watry kujieka mahali.
Right now at the national stage, we are at the approval stage, because they tabled it in Parliament. Now we are at the approval stage, so the Parliament will decide if they're going to adopt it or not. So that's where we are at. At the county government, it really depends on the specific county, but they're all supposed to be almost at the same place. So we should be seeing invitations to do a public participation from the committees that are involved in making the budgets around the 2021-2022 budget. Then at the same time, we should be seeing evaluation going on for the 2020-2021 budget, so that's to see the money you spent last year. So we are both at the evaluation and audit, and also at the approval stage of the national budget. And
Kwa hivyo, this is the point where tunafaa tukue rada, we give our inputs. Do our inputs matter?
Nata tunapeana wapi? Tunaambiwa mpeane inputs. Is it on Twitter?
On approval, the place where it's most important is at the formulation stage. So that you tell the people, the people who are making the budget, this is what we want. You people want us to do BBI. We do not want BBI. But then unfortunately, the opportunity to be in those rooms is usually very limited, because the communication is also usually a bit funny. You either, if you're not in the right WhatsApp group, if you don't know the right people, if you're not a tenderpreneur, you might not get the opportunity to be in those rooms.
You might not even know
You might not even know that. A lot of people actually don't know that it's going on. And then another thing, because I've attended a few county government budget process, like public participation, it's usually done in such a anyhowly manner. So yes, you're in the room. Yes, you have signed that, yes, we have attended this meeting, but your input is not really being inputted anywhere.
Oh, you're there to
It's
be
like
seen,
you're
not
there,
to be
It's
heard.
like a rubber stamp. Then they came, we even hear the signatures, they're here.
We had 400
We had
people.
400 people who showed up, but like when you look at the final document, a lot of your views were not taken
not
into account.
reflected.
So this is why I say, me, I believe in chaos. You go there, you show up, you fight, whatever it is, to
Choose
to make,
violence.
yes. And also another thing that I usually tell people when you're following the budget process is you don't have to understand everything in the budget.
Everything.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
you follow up on the one thing that you care about. For example, if you care about sports, then it's easy for you to track it from the formulation all the way down to the implement. So you're able to follow, me, I'm here for sports. Even when you go for meetings, you're saying, me, I'm in this meeting because I want to know how much money has been allocated to. Then it will be easy for you to follow it. If you care about culture and you care about all these things that are surrounded with culture, then you focus on that one thing.
I think you mentioned a very important thing kwa sababu ni poa kukuwa na interest in something, to care about something, because I think pia tunasuffer from not caring. Si shida ya mtu anything, and so it's good that Wanjiru points out that the thing that is close to your heart, then chagua ni hiyo. Sema unataka hewa safi and then ufuatilie hiyo.
Exactly. If you're passionate about environment, for example,
Yes.
then you follow it from the beginning so that you know how much money has been allocated to tree planting, cleaning of rivers, all these things. It will be easier. It's easier that
Hata
way.
inakumeku feel unaweza participate kwa sababu kidhani utatrack kila kitu, then you just don't know.
You can't even. you
It
can't
just
track
brings me
everything.
back to our social responsibility episode, and I'm just thinking, can you imagine if everyone took up their own facet? Like that would be so dope.
And everyone should actually.
Everyone should,
Kwa sababu
yeah.
kila mtu kuna kitu anajali about.
Yeah.
Hata kama tu ni noise, pollution. Like there's so many things that we complain about as Kenyans, and it's upon us to also take responsibility for the things we care about. It's like you want a clean house, but you've never cared to hire anyone to clean, or you've hired someone, but you never ufuatilia na clean aje, but unashinda umejam that hao ni chafu. So I think it's upon you to also decide, this is what I really care about, and track it. Kwa sababu ka kuna allocation, then there should be spending to that effect, right?
Yeah. And also another thing is you can't do this thing by yourself. So once you figure out that this is it, then you're able to collaborate with people who are also passionate about that thing. So your voice is louder and you get things done because you're being heard as a collective, other than becoming a hero. And you're not building any movement, you're not building any community, you're just moving by yourself. It helps to move together. I also like the idea of neighborhood associations because like I said, the county government is very personal.
It's closest to you.
Closest. It determines how
Your
livable your
day-to-day.
estate is, what air are you breathing, how many mosquitoes are finding you at night.
If it's an estate, if it's like kama iko na standards
so
poor
if you
as a
can come
living.
together as a neighborhood association and hold these people accountable, even attend meetings together as a neighborhood association, then it will really, really help.
Yeah, and we've seen some communities do that. I think kuna areas zenye huku people are actually caring.
Yes.
Yeah, I find it mostly, I don't want to say it's because they have more problems, but I find like in our neighborhood, I can't even think of an association, but you go to somewhere like Mukuru or, the low income areas, and they're so organized.
They're very
and they have
organized.
all these centers. And these people have a better understanding of even the entire process than I do. So at some point, is it privilege or is it comfort is also an issue?
I would say it's privilege because if you can afford private healthcare, right? So you don't have to depend on county government hospitals.
You don't care
If you can afford, if you have your car and it's a big car and you don't feel the potholes on the road, then you can, if your children are going to a private school, why would you care about a public school?
Sijui hazina desk.
So it's a bit, and that privilege is what is making it difficult for us to hold our governments accountable, and it's making it easy for governments to deal with us with the treachery they're dealing with us with,
and get away with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Kwa sababu lazima uanze kuangalia hizi ndo public services and we are members of the public.
But it looks like we are condemning privilege. Should we deny our privilege, or how should we go about using our privilege for good, if I can put it that way?
We're not condemning privilege, but I think we should have a higher degree of care.
Let it not blind
let
you.
it not blind you. At the same time, I also think that it is our responsibility, all of us, to make sure that public services are working. If we have an option to do private service as a response to a public problem, then it becomes because everyone also wants to do, I mean, we all want that exceptionalism where my child is going to this, even if the country is broken, at least my child is not broken.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, we are all going to interact somewhere. When these politicians decide to murder us with toxic, there's no private means and public.
Bas.
We are all going to suffer.
Alafu pia si wote inabaki tumedecide ati so mi nitaomoka nijisort. Then that really breaks the community factor kwa sababu you become so atomized. It's all about you, it's individualistic. You don't care about the next person because at least umejisort. So I think hata hii narrative ya uomoke ujisort, you're still gonna use the same roads. You'll still meet the rest of everyone who's suffering. So ni poa kuanza think different about the societies we live in. I think privilege is good, soft life is good, like ukiomoka, that's really good for you. But let it not be the thing that distracts you from the actual life that happens in the country. Usi assume to like life in London because you live in White Highlands and whatnot. But realize that this is the country, this is the situation that you're in, I think.
Yeah, I think the two key emerging themes so far in all the episodes we've done is getting information and mobilization. So I think as young people, that is the most important thing we can do. Yeah.
So Wanjiru, you talk about areas in the budget process where people can participate. I think ni poa tuambie watu ni wapi na at what point na hata hii participation happen wapi. Is there a link? Like what do we do about participating?
Yes. So in the budget process, like all those stages, there's an opportunity to participate in all those stages, especially in the county government budget process. For the national budget, I will be honest, I haven't interacted much with the national budget. I know about the allocations, because also I can't track the national and the county and my life and Wigai and my... So I know that for the county government, at the formulation stage, there's usually an opportunity for the public to participate. Sometime, I wrote it down, sometime in August. So where now the county governments will call you. I mean, yes, they will call you and ask, what do you want? Do you want a road here? Do you want a house?
How do they call you?
Normally, according to, I think, the Constitution, they're supposed to advertise it at the chief's office, like where a lot of people gather. So they are supposed to put it in a newspaper that is circulating widely in that area. I've seen sometimes in Kikuyu town, they will hire a speaker in a car. And they go around saying tangazo kutakuwa na mkutano They're supposed to do all those things.
Okay.
Sometimes they will use WhatsApp. They will use if there's a website, then they will use the website to advertise for that participation and the purpose of that participation, so that people show up. So it's supposed to happen like that. Kwa ground, sijui. Me, I know in Kikuyu, they usually have a car going around, like an hour. You just hear tangazo, then they speak in Kiswahili, in English, and in Kikuyu, going around the town.
Hey, I've never heard.
You've never heard?
I'm wondering, Chief, Bona Chief. But anyway.
Yeah.
But I've seen it in newspapers. But they usually choose that section where they're advertising pro box, meaning then they squeeze it.
Then they squeeze it
they're
somewhere.
like public participation for, so I'm just like, who's going to see that?
So unless now, like people, I've seen like civic organizations.
Oh yeah, they amplify.
They will amplify it and put it on social media and on Twitter and on WhatsApp and all these places.
But at least you umetuambia ni August, so if any of our viewers are interested,
it's usually by latest August 30th. That is when the formulation stage ends. And then at the approval stage, now we have the sector hearings where now you have already done like everything that you want to do with the budget. So now they have to decide how far can the budget go, how far can we go. So they're supposed to also call for a public participation. But I feel like at this stage, the participation is very chosen, because unless you are a member of like a stakeholder in the community, and this usually happens sometime in February.
Okay.
So if you're in the right WhatsApp group, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are somewhere there, you might get an invite. Or
But
if
this
you have
really,
kiherehere, you might just find people meeting and then you join them and have that conversation with them.
inasonka exclusion for most of the youth kwa
It
sababu
is.
youth wangapi ni entrepreneurs, youth wangapi wako in the right WhatsApp
Am
groups,
I like stakeholders or things like that? But it should be open to the public. I don't think if you showed up at a meeting, you would be
hawezi
chased.
kufukuza.
Hawezi
Yeah.
kufukuza.
So ni kukwarada.
That is
Just
why-
put your ears to the
That is
ground.
why it matters what area you're passionate in and how
Yeah.
because if they will know to call you because there's sometimes you will receive a call and you'll be told, "Hii kitu yako, they are meeting on this day, kuja useme venye unataka." Like if you're a nuisance like that, they might just ask you.
So sumbweni, you deserve.
Vuruga.
Yes. And then there's also still at the approval stage, now the entire public is called in. After now they have presented to the county assembly. Now the departments, like the budget committee within now the county government, they will now call for now like a public participation for everybody sometime in May there.
Okay.
So that now they can show you the estimates. So normally you will be given, I've seen it in Kikuyu, they will give you like a 300-page document, which is ridiculous because the meeting is at 9. You have not uploaded this thing on your website. So I'm supposed to show up with
And
a
start reading a
300-page
book.
document. And the meeting is starting at 9. You've given it to me at the door. And then you want me to see and understand and ask questions. And guys,
That's hiyo ni
what are we
shida.
doing?
Hiyo ni
Yes. So they
shida.
will call you and they will do
Yeah.
those shenanigans. It happened in Kikuyu. People rioted. People refused to meet. They were like, "No, we can't conduct
How do you
public participation.
participate like
you can't
that?
even participate because half the time."
Iko page
I
67.
don't even understand what
Page
I'm
204.
looking at. Page 204, page 100. We don't even understand what I'm
You
looking
haven't
at.
read.
Yes. So that's also a challenge that comes with, with these things they call public participation. It's a scammery, sham.
It sounds like it's by design.
Yeah.
It
'cause
is.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is.
Yeah.
No one wants, hakuna mtu anataka vurugu, and everyone wants to maintain this. Not everyone, the people who are
people who are
benefiting
benefiting,
want
yes.
to maintain the status quo.
Yes.
So they won't tell you, come and challenge.
No, they won't.
They will
They
never.
won't. Yeah.
So
So that is it. That's what I have understood about the public participation. But I do know that there's a public participation bill.
Yeah.
So maybe that will help with making sure that actually public participation actually matters. I don't know how far the bill is. I haven't tracked it, but I know that there's a bill in the works
Yeah.
to make sure that at least the process is much more. It makes more sense so that we're not wasting each other's good time. And that is where we go wrong.
Alafu
Like
kuna
a rat.
issue. So in the tukianza tulikuwa tumonge about why we budget.
Yeah.
So this country, it's been budgeting forever. We always budget, but for the past so many years, all the time the budgeted amount na the expenditure you kwa more than what we budgeted for, and so we are always in deficit. What is the far-reaching implication of that? I think everyone knows, like tunajidrown in poverty na ina affect economy yetu, but then is there kuna kitu tunaweza fanya about it?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
I think, okay, it's to everyone really. Like, is there anything you can do about it? Kwa sababu we can't keep normalizing this. We can't keep watching expenditure ikigo over the roof. You're being told 2 billion napotea every day. Like billion with a B. Guys, that's so much money. It's so...
Was to be
Hata
given
mi
a
sijui
figure. I don't even know how much money that is.
It's more money
Like,
than you can spend in a
I
lifetime.
know mathematically it's like many zeros, but like
for real,
I
like
don't know what how much money is that.
And then considering tuko time yenye tunajua venye kupata pesa ni hard. It's really hard. So I think this is a call unto youth, unto older people, unto children. Manze, you really care about money. Najua ukipoteza hata thao hiyo uchungu nasikianga. So like if someone can decide that 2 billion imepotea wapi? What does that mean? Imeanguka chini, like imepotea wapi? Mtu aliangusha on the way to the shop. Like it's not that, like si kidogo hivyo. So we really for us to kujiomoa from these situations, because if personally unaweza decide I'm budgeting ndo nisisafe. So I think if you are going to employ someone to take charge of your finances, anafaa try to stick to the basics, because clearly none of us here is we are not financial advisors nini, but you kind of know that if you have 50 bob you can only spend 50 bob or less. But that's never the case kwa kwa government and government expenditure. So yeah, as it's good to now start thinking, what can I do to somewhat alleviate this situation? Does it mean we elect different people? Does it mean that we do public participation throughout the process? Inaweza kuwa ni hiyo kufollow a cause, but there's always something to do.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm getting at. There's always something to do, and tukianza kukua informed, tusiachie ati sijui panel ya wapi imekuja kwa some mainstream media ndo wataongelelea. No, it's a conversation you can charge up with your friends. If you care about yourself, your so many years from now, it's something that you can spark up. Kwa sababu the decisions are always being made for you, and it's so many decisions along the way.
I think at this point we round up and we give Wanjiru a chance to give us parting shot. What will you tell young people considering we feel our voices are not being heard? What's the point of participating? Mbona niende hiyo baraza na nikuonekana tu? I don't know. Encourage us or discourage us.
You don't want to ask me. You don't want to set me up like, because I'll say, rob these people if you have an opportunity.
Choose violence. They only understand violence.
If you're these people and they have skumas in their shamba, ingia kwa shamba tuke. Anyway. Rob these people on site. No, but like, because they're stealing from us. The reason we don't have money in our pockets is because they have literally taken money from our pockets. The reason we cannot afford healthcare, every time I see on the timeline, there's always an appeal. There's always an appeal for education. There's always an appeal for hospitals.
All the time.
The reason we do not have that money is because someone has taken that money. So if you ever come across someone's mangoes, and these mangoes belong to a politician, just go, help yourself. But that is bad advice. If you get arrested, I will deny, I shall denounce you, I do not know you. But apart from participating and doing all these things, I really am at a point where I also feel really helpless. I'm just like it's so much. It's defeating. I don't even know. To be very honest with you, I don't even. If you ask me what can we do, I don't know. I feel like we are completely spent. We are completely. I feel a sense of hopelessness. Even when people are talking about voting in better leaders, I have stopped believing in a ballot revolution.
Because sometimes, kwa hiyo ukiangalia hiyo list, you can't see a better leader. I think in our previous episode we mentioned ati politicians when you listia in NAC, and then you look at all those people, they're the same people in government right now. They've pillaged the country to doom, and then unaambiwa, so from this, choose a better leader. So,
but I think even when there is, can we trust our systems to deliver that leader to the office?
What systems? Because the problem is the systems. By the
exactly.
time,
and it's by
you're
design.
Opening a ballot paper,
exactly.
The leaders there have not just magically appeared. There's a political party, there's IEBC, there's the police, there's the church, there's all these people that make sure that these names are forwarded to you.
Yeah.
So by the time it's getting to you, you have very little control about the kind of leadership that you're going to get. So I just encourage, let's just continue to participate in the way that we
tuende kwa hiyo
know
town
how.
hall, uende tu na mbogi yako ya wase 300 and then you just cause
Unatoa wapi watu 300?
Si kwa WhatsApp group.
Mbogi yako ni ya
Si
300
si unajua 10 people and then you know 10 people. And I just tell all my friends
True,
to come with like 5 people.
mobilize.
And then hata kama si wote wa hiyo town, they just come and tell them, mimi Kajoy, I'm your friend and I'm suffering kwa sababu hii county yetu hatuna healthcare. Like if you go to the nearest dispensary, haina meds. Like
Exactly.
by the way, I think it's bleak. Hata siwezi sema it looks.
But if we approach it like that, then we start to mobilize like that at the county level, then maybe, just maybe.
Yeah.
I have seen it happen sometimes. It works sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're silent, then you try again. You mobilize with more people, and not just young people, but even as old women. Let me tell you, old women are a resource we are not tapping into. Because the minute they walk in and they don't even care about protocol, they will just start talking about how they don't have medicine in their dispensaries.
And that's all they care about, and that's what they want
about.
to hear. Yeah.
And even apart from becoming louder, I think in mobilization we draw strength from each other.
Yeah.
Because if Wanjiru is here feeling tired, but Joy is there passionate, at least you can draw from each other's strength. Yeah, I think yeah, thank you for joining us on this episode. Thank you so much, Wanjiru, for coming. Thank you, Joy.
One more thing. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We also,
It's
because we
okay.
don't have the answers to everything, I think it's important that we ask the people who know,
Yeah.
how can we help you win? So if it's about healthcare, let's ask the doctors, how can we help you win? If it's about sports, how can we ask sports people, how can we help you win? So
That's
that
very important.
we are not running around like headless rats on the
Yeah.
highway.
Yeah.
It's good you mention aki sasa poleni tunaendelea tu kiasi so pia kujialign organizations zenye zinafanya similar things
Yeah.
because hata from budget talks I think this week I've been so informed under Twitter thread ya IEA Kwame and that is the Institute of Economic Affairs. They've been really discussing the budget and and they even have like a citizens handbook that they've shared for the process nini. So si rahisi, these things you won't find them in school and in your day-to-day life. So just decide to go out of your way to educate yourself, kujua nani anasema nini. I think pole tutaanza kukua tutakuwa more aware kwa sababu I think pia helplessness inasaidia government kuprosper in whatever terrible agendas because if everyone is tired and no one cares then sawa 2 billion imelost. Yeah. So as always, this is
Kisima Podcast, Kisima_podcast on Instagram and Kisima Podcast on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Wanjiru.
Thank you for
and
having me.
stay tuned. Bye.
na follow Wanjiru pia.
Oh,
And
yeah.
mine is a comment podcast. Thank you.
Haya, karibu.
How many minutes?
30